Let me add a trigger warning to this video. I will be talking about SA and a new allegation against Graham Platner. So trigger warning if you want to exit now. Today, Politico released an article detailing a new allegation against Graham Platner from one of his ex-girlfriends, where she alleges that he sexually assaulted her in her home years ago. He came to her house uninvited, drunk, and sexually assaulted her. He's, of course, denied this. And I want to start by saying I don't find pleasure in I told you so, particularly when it involves sexual assault. But we just have to note for people, the red flags were obvious. Even the behaviors that he has acknowledged, cheating on his wife, being aggressive, drinking problems, all of these behaviors that he acknowledged, and there's a lot more than just those. It's not surprising that we are here. And it felt to me as though the Republicans were sitting back and holding on to information, waiting for Democrats to really get behind him and pick him as the candidate, because he's now the official nominee, before they release additional information. Now, in this instance, the ex-girlfriend here, Jenny, is saying that she is not politically motivated, that she actually is a Democrat, and she aligns with Platner when it comes to political affiliations. And how the last article got politicized is part of why she came forward now. So the last article in the New York Times, her statements are kind of more vague about her experiences with Platner. She does say in the political article that she told the New York Times that he had sexually assaulted her, but she asked for it to be off the record. So it was not included in the article. When that article came out, everyone was hyper-focused on Graham Platner's super crazy, I shouldn't say crazy, his MAGA ex. And so she felt as though the article got dismissed because of politics. And so she's saying, no. I align with him. And I also am here to tell you that he assaulted me. And here's my story. I've mentioned before, I am a lawyer. And I used to do Title IX investigations, sexual misconduct investigations, sexual assault investigations. And so I read these things with a little bit different than the average person does. And what stood out to me is that she has a lot of contemporaneous evidence, people that she talked to at the time, around the time, and before he ever ran for office. So if your argument is that this is the establishment trying to take down this really good candidate, that dog don't hunt, because she was telling people about this in 2023 when he was just an oyster farmer in her small town who dated everybody. Like, there's no benefit to her. She has no reason to lie on this man who's just a neighbor that assaulted her. Like, there's no reason to lie on this man. And so the things that stood out to me, she talks about her therapist, that she talks about her therapist, and the therapist doesn't really work. She emails her, and the therapist seems to be acknowledging in a kind of a not direct way, very ethical way for a therapist, that they're aware of this previous incident that has been discussed before in therapy sessions. She also talks about an ex-boyfriend of hers who she dated after Graham Platner, who she told this story to. Politico talked to him, and he said that, this is what she told me, A, B, C, D, E. That lined up with the story that she told them. This, again, was before Graham Platner ever ran for office. And so then, this is the one that really stood out to me. She has Facebook messages. She had an acquaintance that she saw in pictures with Graham Platner. She hits her up like, hey, girl, I see you with old boy. He's not good. Are you trying to date him? Like, what's up? And the girl's like, no, I was considering having a friend, like, I have a friend that I may link him up with, but like, what's the story? And she tells her, she uses euphemisms, but she was like, let me get her direct word. She calls him consensually careless when drunk. Consensually careless. And then the person, smart person, that's like, okay, that's a little bit vague, a little bit of a euphemism. Does he force himself on people? And she's like, he does not listen when he's drunk. This is, again, these messages are from 2023. This is an acquaintance of hers that she saw with Graham Platner. She has been consistent in saying he's not a good guy. Again, well before he ran for office. So when I look at this, he's saying that he's not going to step down. I don't know what the process is in Maine. Should he step down? How does their party get to pick a new candidate if he does decide to step down? But I think y'all hard-headed. The red flags were right there in y'all face. Everything that he's acknowledged makes it pretty clear we were going to get here. And I still think there's more. I do not know how you can be a strong candidate against a woman who, and it's so interesting in that a lot of Susan Collins, the critiques of her is that she's not a supporter of women, that she's not a supporter of abortion rights as she claims that she is. All her votes don't line up with that. And so I think how do you really challenge her on these kind of things, women's rights and things like that, while you have strong allegations of sexual assault against you? I don't know how they're able to do that. So we will see what happens. But again, I am not surprised that we're here. Anybody in Maine that is surprised that we're here, you all are sticking your head in the sand. It was very, very obvious.